How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Black Metal Rebellion. I'm your host, Jesse Morgan, aka Slammerella, and today we're going to do something that I haven't done in basically over a year. Somehow I have kind of misstepped and not made a Jesse Talks Metal episode in that length of time, which is kind of crazy considering I used to have one every couple of months. Now, the last one I did was number 20, so this is going to be number 21, and as of late, I have a little bit of a reason to talk about this, but also I want to be able to help you guys if you're in a band or if you're creating music and you're looking for a label and what you should be really looking for and what you should expect from these labels out there if you are shopping for one. So this Jesse Talks Metal episode is going to be called What a Record Label is Expected to Do. So for most record labels, are for bands that are looking to get up there in either popularity or views or just a bigger kind of reach. And you basically think of a record label as something normally really big, being either, Epitaph or Universal or Warner Brothers or Epic or any of those huge kind of like rock or metal labels. And then you think, well, that'd be great to get on a label. Then we can, sell out tons of shows and I can, spread my music to the masses. But a lot of the labels that you run into today aren't really like that, unfortunately. And if that's what you're expecting to get into, if you're just kind of like a metal artist or an underground, death metal or black metal or whatever musician, you might be a little disappointed in what you find. So this video is for you guys, for the guys that are basically just starting to look around or consider looking around for a label to put out your latest EP or album or release. And this is kind of going over a few things that you should be expecting when dealing with being approached by a label or you approaching a label. So in my opinion, these are the things that should be expected when approaching either independent labels or semi kind of mid-level labels, not the giant ones, but mid-level to independent level labels. So for marketing, you're going to be expected for them to have a wide audience reach, or at least a lot wider than your reach. So let's say your band page has 200, 500, or even 1,000 likes or follows or whatever. The label should at least have over that. So anywhere from like 1,000 to 10,000 or whatever followers or likes on the page, whether it's a Facebook page or an Instagram page or wherever. So it should be significantly higher than what your band has so that you can get that audience reach. Now, when it comes to marketing, this label should also have multiple outlets for exposure. So you should expect the label to have like a Facebook page, an Instagram page, a Twitter page, a website, a YouTube channel, etc., etc., etc. Just multiple platforms where more eyeballs can get on your albums and listen to your music. And once again, they should have a foot in resources or media that you don't have. So other websites and other sorts of high-level media platforms that isn't typically offered to just artists or bands or just regular citizens of the music community that aren't like the bigger industry people. So yeah, I'm not exactly sure how to explain that, but they should definitely have multiple sources where they can draw from in order to get your music out there. Another thing on top of this is not necessarily required or a guarantee, but it would be good if the label was able to afford some ads, some sort of advertising at least beyond the static platform posts. So other than just going, hey, this band is on our label now, go check them out, here's a Bandcamp link, or hey, check them out, here's our big cartel where you can purchase some shit by them. They should be able to afford some post status update advertisements. So whether that's Facebook marketing which if you watch Ranter and Shades, you can argue that it's a scam, and they don't post your material or statuses to the proper groups, and it doesn't have a net income of views. So it's kind of debatable whether you really want to sink money into Facebook ads and stuff like that if you're a label. If you don't have a problem with throwing out 50 to 100 to whatever many dollars on ads that may or may not be hitting the target audience, then be my guest labels. But me as an independent label in Helvet Canada, aka Turbulent Rage Records, it's not worth it, and I probably won't be offering that kind of stuff. And I kind of agree with Ranter and Shades. It kind of seems like Facebook ads are a scam and don't really hit the target audience that they claim it will, and they don't seem to put the effort into promoting artists as much as they probably should. So that's not really what I'm talking about when it comes to ads. I mean ads on either Twitter or Instagram or website or commercials or YouTube or stuff like that. If your label can afford to put up ads, even better. Now, as for the music itself, you expect the label to either produce or fund production of your release if you need it. You also expect them to produce or fund production of the CDs, tapes, or vinyl, because most of the independent artists can't afford the $500 or $1,000 to get 200 or 500 copies made of their CD or tape or vinyl. We just, as independent artists, do not have that kind of money, and that's the main thing you would expect from a label to do, is put up the money in good faith that your following is going to be able to get them the return on the money made by the CDs, the tapes, and the vinyl. They should have the faith in their own marketing skills that they'll be able to see a return on putting out the money for your physical release. So that is one huge thing that you should expect from a label if you're going to sign. Another thing that you should expect is them to advertise your band, your music, your releases. It should just be a no-brainer that they're going to post links to your music, post links to your Bandcamp, post links to your YouTube videos, etc. They should advertise and be like, hey, here's our new band, here's the new music, here's where you can find it. They should also probably have a website or a shop that is easily accessible or searchable for potential clients and listeners and buyers. They should have either their own Bandcamp where they're selling stuff, they should have their own big cartel or website, and it should be easily searchable to find. Like, if you can't go to their page or their Instagram and be able to do one click or find a way to purchase your band's music or see your band or something, there's probably a problem there. So that's one thing you should definitely expect as well when it comes to the music and the label you're looking for. Another section that you should be considering when going to a label is how they're going to handle your merch. Are they going to be able to produce and fund production of shirts, hoodies, I don't know, coasters, mugs, patches, anything like that? Can they afford to put this up for you to be able to sell? And if they can, how much percentage are they wanting for it? Or can you just produce it yourself? And if so, if you can produce the shirts and patches and hoodies and whatever yourself, then you should definitely be keeping most of the money from it, and they shouldn't be asking for any sort of royalties. And you more than likely shouldn't sign a contract that gives the label any ownership of your brand or image. So that's one thing to consider as well. They should also probably help produce or fund the production of your album or EP, or maybe even artwork. Once again, we're independent artists, we're just getting started. If we had the money to put out for this kind of stuff, we would obviously do it ourselves anyways. So if we're looking at labels to help us out, one thing you'd expect if you're wanting like super duper good quality and really tight, clean production, you're gonna hopefully have a label that can be like, here you go, here's a couple $100, here's a couple $1,000, go get recorded at such and such studio and let's produce a good quality record. So that's one thing that you should possibly expect from a label that isn't just a starter or independent label that has some funds behind it, and how that's going to help your band. And once again, advertisement. They should be able to advertise your band's merchandise, and be able to sell it and put it on their website, etc. You should see them promoting it, and they should also have a website and shop for your band's merch. If you guys don't, they should offer it at least and say, hey, we can put it on our big cartel where eyeballs are going, on the site or website every day and see it next to these other artists that also are big names and get attention. They'll see your product next to their product and give potential for it to be bought. So that's another thing. And finally, if you're a full membered band that do live shows, this is going to be for you as well. You're going to want a label to have either a managerial team or some sort of person that sets up or finds shows for your band. If you are having trouble finding shows or whatever, maybe this label could help you find shows that are a little bit more important, a little bit more relevant, a little bit more target audience for your type of music. They should also include spots in already existing label shows or tours for your band to be able to participate in. So let's say a band has Marduk, Obituary, and Deicide playing. If you're a death metal band or a black and death metal band on their label, they should probably be like, hey, do you want a spot on this if you're near the area? Or hey, here's a spot, you guys are going to be, fourth or third up, go with this tour. Like there should be consideration there, and they should come to you and let you know there's a spot available for that tour. And they should also advertise these shows and tours your band is on. So you're not on that Marduk Deicide Obituary show, you should still have your show that your band is on be advertised on their site, on their page, on their social media outlet, wherever that should be. That's one thing that you should expect from your label. Alright, so with all of these things that you should expect from your label, there's also a bunch of red flags that you're going to want to look out for when approaching labels, when being approached by labels for your band or your project. Now, one of the things that I find is kind of a red flag, and I don't sign these things, is the label wants you to pay for the CDs or tapes or vinyl to get made. If the label wants you to pay for it, you might as well put it out yourself since you're forking out the money. I don't understand these independent labels or medium level labels that expect the artist to pay for the production of the CDs or tapes or vinyls. If we had the money to do that, we would just make it ourselves and sell it ourselves and advertise it ourselves. The whole point of a band being on a label is so that the label puts out the money in good faith that these albums will sell and make them back the money. This is why I feel that as a label person that you sign a band is because you see the potential there. If you see the potential in the band, then you should be able to fork out the fucking money. If you can't fork out the money to get the CDs produced that your artist is making, then don't sign the band. You are not, in my opinion, a label if you can't get shit produced. If you don't have faith in your artists to have on your roster, don't sign them. You're not, like, in my opinion, you're not a label if you can't at least pay for shit to get made. That is the whole reason why artists are coming to you. That is the whole reason why you should be going and finding artists, because you believe that they will make you money and that people should hear them. So with that big red flag out of the way, let's go into a couple of others. Another thing is kind of sketchy if the label asks you for a deposit before signing a contract. Never pay a label shit before you sign a contract, because then they can just fuck off with your money and be like, what check? See ya. Then you're fucked. So never pay for anything before seeing a contract. Another thing is the label has little or no following. I know that there's some independent labels that need to get started up and obviously will start with zero following, but even then the label should have a bit of a following if they're approaching you as a band and your band has 200, 500, 1,000 followers, 200, 500, 1,000 likes on your page. As an independent label, as a small time label, you shouldn't be approaching bands that have a bigger following than you do. It seems sketchy, seems like you're being too far reaching, and it looks like your eyes are bigger than your stomach. You're trying to eat more than you can really eat as a as a label. That metaphor was terrible, but you know what I mean. Like, if you're an artist that has got like 1,500 and 66 followers, and you get approached by a label that's only got 102 followers, are you really going to consider signing with them? Probably not. So that's one thing to look for. Check out the label's social media outlets. Check out their following. Check out their posts and previous bands, and just weigh it in. It's like, is this label really going to do anything for me if I sign with them? Maybe not. I mean, you might get 50 of the eyeballs that's watching their page on your band, but you could have probably made that in a couple of weeks anyways, with some grinding and some marketing yourself and just promoting your band in other ways. So yeah, labels that have like 50 likes or 2 to 3 posts, not really worth your time and could potentially be kind of sketchy. Also, a label is kind of sketchy, or should be at least questioned, or a red flag should go up in your mind if they're from some third world country, i.e. not North America, not UK. If they're from like Thailand or Paraguay or Indonesia or something like that, and you're a North American band or you're a UK band, it probably wouldn't make sense for you to sign with them. And I speak from experience here, because my band, or my project that I did with Dave and Devilment called Torturous Endevilment, we signed with Roommate Records. We thought, hey, cool, this record label is going to put up 500 of our CDs, and they're going to get them professionally made and advertise for them, and this is like an official contract. And we checked it out and we're like, this sounds great. And in the contract it said, we will give the artists 100 copies each of their record so they can sell them on their own time and make some money back, and that's kind of the payment system. And it sounded good to us. The promise was there, and it was cool that it was like another country that was interested in our project that came to us and was like, hey, we have the faith in you, we're going to put up the money to make your CDs, we're going to send you some. And it seemed good. Now the problem with this was they didn't have the money. They didn't have the money to keep their end of the bargain and make these 500 CDs. So they made, I don't know how many. They sent Dave, I think 100, maybe. And then they told me they didn't have any money to send my share because it cost too much in shipping to send to Canada. Well, I'm sorry. We signed the contract. This was the deal. You need to send me my 100 copies. So back and forth for a couple of months, talking to the guy from Roommate Records to be like, hey, when are these CDs coming? When are these CDs coming? And he kept making excuses or just not replying. I think the last reply I got was, we don't have the money. If you want your copies, we're going to need to sell out of our copies first to afford the shipping to send them to you. And then I think that was like the beginning of 2019. And that was the end of it. I messaged him and he just wouldn't reply. And Dave felt bad. And he said, I'm never going to sell 100 of these things. So here you go. He sent me 30 copies of the CDs and inserts. And now I'm selling them here in Canada and North America. And he's selling his copies in Europe. So that's where we are. And we even knew about red flags and thought we were getting a pretty decent deal. And it still screwed us over. So Roommate Records, that's for you if you're watching. Get your heads out of your asses. Send me my copies. We signed the contract. Do not sign with Roommate Records. They can't afford you. They literally can't afford to do business with you. So yeah, that was my experience. Basically, another red flag before we go on to my final advice is, if nobody has heard of the label or can offer any insight, then it's probably best you don't sign with them. There are obviously exceptions. Once again, if the label is just started. They're just getting artists secured. There's a difference between that and nobody literally ever hearing of them. Some kind of really quickly made page or Instagram or website made up, very little to no information, no contact information, no artists that you can message and talk to about how their service is or how, interacting with them has been. Probably best to not sign with a label that has no information or no one has ever heard of them. All right, so that's the red flags, and we're going to go on to the final advice I have. And then once again, this is just my opinion. This is just from my experience as a musician, an independent label. If you don't agree, that's cool. If you have some other advice that you'd like to leave down in the comments, that's cool. But let's move on to the final advice I have here. So do not sign a contract before reading it over with a fine-toothed comb. Read it over. Spend the time to look at what you are signing. Spend the time to realize what you're getting yourself into if you ever legally need to pursue this, or if you ever need to back yourself up against a legal procedure involving said label. If you have a friend who's a lawyer or a friend of a friend who's a lawyer and you're concerned about some of the wording of the contract, get them to read it if you can. I believe there may or may not be some sort of Reddit section where you can ask legal advice in. Hopefully you get a proper answer or someone who knows what they're talking about and not a troll or someone who's just fishing for your information. But yeah, make sure you do not sign a damn thing. Make sure none of the band members sign a damn thing before reading it over and everyone agrees that this is a non-sketch, solid contract coming from someone who you believe can actually fulfill this contract. So that is a huge thing. And ask yourself this is another final advice thing. Can this label provide something for my project, for my band, that we or I can't? Can this label produce CDs? Can this label help me record? Can this label help get my project eyeballs where it wouldn't be able to be seen normally? Does this label have something that's really going to boost me from level 1 to level 100? Are they really going to do something for me that I can't do for myself, whether it be marketing, merch, music, recording, advertisement, or shows? If you're a full member band who does get shows, like, make sure that it's worth it. Make sure that the label's doing something for you that you couldn't easily just do yourself. And if it feels sketchy or seems too good to be true, it probably is. So trust your gut. If something feels really fucking weird about what's going on, or in the wording, or the interactions, or anything about this label, don't sign. Talk to a few people. Talk to the few people on their label. Talk to the artists. Be like, hey, how was your experience with this label? Are they treating you good? Are they fulfilling their promises? Are they doing anything sketchy? Is there any red flags I should look out for? So that's another thing. If something feels sketchy or too good to be true, ask around. And lastly, once again, don't be afraid to ask around to get information on a label if you aren't sure about signing with them. Can't stress enough. If you find something that seems sketchy, or a deal in the contract, or talking to a representative that seems too good to be true, it's probably too good to be true, because if you're not a big, huge artist and you're not already selling out venues, and you don't already have like 25,000 likes or followers on your page, yet this huge label or seemingly huge label is approaching you, there's probably something fucked up going on behind the curtain. So make sure you ask around and see what's up. Anywho, that's it. That's my Jesse Talks Metal number 21. What to expect from labels, or what you should expect from labels when approaching them or having them approach you as an artist. Let me know if this is helpful. Please leave any information that you think would be helpful in the comments section below. Happy to start a discussion about it. Let me know of any of your horror stories of signing with labels that you probably shouldn't have or wished you hadn't in the comment section below. It would probably help out a lot of people to read that. And let's try to help each other as metal musicians, or even, punk musicians out there that are looking for labels. It's nice to have a community that can share these stories and help watch out for those red flags and not sign these shit deals that sign away your soul to the fucking devil. So cheers, guys. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, get get my videos in front of your friends' eyes, share them in some groups if this is helpful at all. If there's anyone you think this could help, please share it around, because that's what we're here for in the metal community, is to have each other's backs and to make sure no one makes the same shitty mistakes that we do as independent artists or independent labels. And that's it. But before I go, also remember, I also have Drakir, The Precipice of Death and Decay on tape and CD available if you want it. I just posted the full EP on this channel, so go check it out. There's a Bandcamp link in the description if you so desire to pick up anything and support your local underground black metal artist. It would be fucking amazingly appreciated. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and cheers for glory for the Rebel Alliance. Slammerella out. Go check out the other members of the Rebel Alliance too while you're at it. Lots of cool channels on here like Azeg, Metal Bands Chronicles, Jax, Green Iron Cannibal, Nick from Deathlike Reviews, etc. Trez. Can't say enough good things about all my fellow URA members in the Rebellion. So cheers. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one.